people understand it's not a game. Rebuke the negative, plug up to the positive post. One love, one God. Sunlight brings the hope, empowering communities, helping them cope. Generational turnaround, our mission is not clear. Revitalizing villages, bringing neighbors near. Together we'll build a village, supporting one another and lend a helping hand. Addressing young people, their needs and their plans. Creating a community where we all can take a stand. Neighborhood gatherings where connections are made. Community where support won't fade. Communication channels for neighbors to share. Resources and information for the young people gain.
Hey y'all, let me turn the intro off real quick. Hello everybody, hello. Welcome to Generational Turnaround Podcast, where we seek the truth and then we bring you the proof. Today, I have a special guest, Laura Nelson, and I'm going to bring her out because she has something that will touch the heart of everybody out there who's had troubles with biracial, and I know that used to be real big when I was growing up in the 60s. And from what I read from Laura, it's still. And so let me bring her up. Laura, won't you join me, baby? I'm gonna bring you up. Hi, Laura.
Hey.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You have a wealth of knowledge, and also you're going to tell us a little bit about being incarcerated. Now, it wasn't you, am I correct?
It was my brother and my biological mother and my biological father.
Oh, okay. And you know, that's one of the reasons that generational turnaround came about, because we're losing so many of our young people to prison and the grave. And
Yes.
we've got to make a turn around, or we don't know where we're going to end up in the near future, not the far future. I'm talking in the near future. And so,
yes.
What two topics are you going to talk about?
I'd like to talk about adoption, and I'd like to talk about having family members we love and support during their incarceration.
Okay,
like
well,
how
tell us a little bit about you first.
So I'm 45. I'm a single. I have a dog. I love to embroider. I love to swim. I work part-time with the senior community, and I'm writing a book about my life and my adoption story and what it's like to be a biracial adoptee. So without identity, yeah.
Okay, well, family right now, you say you're single?
Yes, I have a boyfriend, but I'm not married.
Okay. Have you ever been?
Yes, I've been divorced now for 10 years.
Okay. Well, let's start off with why and how you end up being adopted.
Okay. So my biological parents were both struggling. They weren't really together. My mother got pregnant. Her mother unfortunately was a very unkind woman, is the best way to put it, who wanted nothing to do with me or my father because my father's family is Afro Latina. So, part of his family comes from the Caribbean. And she wasn't okay with that. So, my mother, being a drug addict, didn't have a lot of options, put me up for adoption. And then I went into a white family.
Oh, okay. So, what are you as far as biracial?
My mother was white, my father was Afro Latina.
Are
So,
you,
I'm part Afro Latina.
and
But
so go ahead.
his family came from a Caribbean island that belonged to Panama. My father was born on Panama in Panama and lived there till he was 7 years old.
Okay. Yo, he's Afro, and
Latina,
was he a
yes, we are of African descent, but
Mhm.
the island we are from belonged to Panama, which is a Latin country. From what I've been told, that is considered Afro Latina or Afro Caribbean.
Okay. So
Yeah.
he was pretty fair skinned, I'm taking it.
Yes, my dad was very Hispanic looking.
Okay, okay. And your mom, was
Was
she
white.
from America?
Yes, yes, she was from Louisiana.
Okay, okay. Well, go ahead, tell us more.
So I was put into a home, and my parents didn't know what I was. I faced a lot of more anti-Hispanic slurs and stuff growing up. I was very dark as a child. It was the 80s. We all lived outside. Um, I got made fun of a lot. They just manage it by saying, "Well, we don't know what you are, so people aren't meaning to be mean." And then, I internalized the racism and made pretty poor choices and had bad feelings about myself for a long time. But I'm doing much better now. I'm on a healing path. I handle derogatory things much differently than when I was a child.
So you were adopted by a white family.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But
Were you, go ahead.
I reconnected with my biological family at the age of 20.
So you lived with one
I
family until you were 20.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so what made you want to reconnect with your family?
To know who I am and to learn about my past and my history and just where my personality comes from. When you're adopted, you really grow up with a lot of questions like, who am
Mm-hmm.
I? Do I look like? Who do I sound like? And
Right.
so answers, you have to reconnect with your family. And that's my biological mother. Her family made a choice not to reconnect with me because I'm not a completely white person. But my father, my biological father, his family loves me, and I have a very close relationship now with them for over 20 years. The minute I met my grandmother, my Caribbean grandmother, she just embraced me. And she was like, I have waited my whole life to meet you.
Well, what
So
kind of relationship did you have with the adopted family?
we do okay. We have our ups and downs. There is some traumatic, emotional situations there that were, because being white, I love my parents dearly, but they did not have the knowledge to help me address some situations I was in growing up, and that led to some resentment that we had to work through.
Okay, so at 20 is when you got with your family.
Yes, ma'am.
How how has your experience as a biracial individual raised in a white adopted home shaped your understanding of your your place, your generation, where you
Oh,
are right now?
that's a great question. It's interesting because being in the home I grew up in, like growing up in that home and then realizing my reality, I felt I walked in two different worlds at once. If that, and I think
Mm,
you hear that biracial people. We sort
yeah,
of not fit in here, but don't fit in there, so there's really nowhere for us to go. Um, that is really how I felt for a long time, that I just didn't belong anywhere. But I do know God has a place for me. I am created for a reason in His image, that I have been given a certain path in life with certain difficulties to navigate, I think, as an opportunity to tell the world that love can conquer all. It isn't easy, and that sounds cliche, but if like my adopted family and I, we've had it rough because like I said, they couldn't help me through my childhood in a lot of ways, and that was hard. And then my biological family and I had it rough because of the incarceration, but we've loved each other through it all, and we've stood by each other, and we continue to do that.
well,
So
see,
I've never been on a podcast. I may have veered off.
that's okay. You're doing great.
Thank
When
you.
you when you ran into obstacles growing up,
Yes,
how
ma'am.
did
Sorry.
who helped you through those obstacles?
If it was, I'm going to be honest with you, if it was an obstacle that had to do with being biracial, no one. I braved that alone. I swam that sea, paddle dog, just dog paddling, barely surviving it.
Okay, so and when I'm talking about therapy, did you have therapy during your younger years?
I did. I have had therapy off and on throughout my life, yes. And at times it's been beneficial, at times it was not the greatest. I have an amazing therapist now, uh, who is also an adoptee.
Do you recommend therapy?
Yes, yes. I think therapy is a wonderful exercise. I think if it is not accessible to you, workbooks from Amazon are an amazing resource. Clergy, friends, but talk to someone about your life. It's so important that we not carry it all alone.
Now,
Yeah.
talking about being racial,
Yes, ma'am.
oh, so you didn't really have anyone that could that were going through the same things that you were going through?
Oh, I did have friends. I had a lot of friends, but who are I mean, Hispanic, black, white, and some of them. I did live up the street from a girl who was adopted from Vietnam, and so we had a lot of similarities. But she
Yeah.
was old. So we weren't, I did, to a degree. I feel go it alone.
Hmm. So, how do you see your journey of self-discovery and embracing your biracial Black identity contributing to where you are right now?
I think that is the piece of my puzzle I needed to get on the path to healing, accepting me and loving every part of me and everything
Mhm,
that part of my creation. Um,
mhm,
like I had someone ask me once, do you, identify as black or whatever? And I said, I get that I don't look it, but to deny it would be to deny my grandmother, who was one of the most
right,
important people in my life, the most loving sources of just happiness I've had. And so I said, I will never be ashamed of what I am. I will never deny it. I will be proud of it. I will carry it with me because that is her with me.
right, right. So, and it does it really matter you identify with her more than you identified with anybody else?
I did. She loved me instantaneously and she loved me unconditionally. And let me tell you, there, I wouldn't trade that for all the money in the world. If I could have a hug from my grandmother again, just to hear her say, "Oh, baby, I love you, and it's gonna be all right." Um, it's worth more than weight of gold.
Yes. Well, how do
Yeah.
you envision a future where biracial individuals are fully seen, celebrated, and supported? Just
You know, I see what how do I see a future that way? One aspect that I like for our future is through the arts. I would love to see our art of self-exploration like paintings, photography, songs, podcasts. Even if you're just on TikTok, hear our voices uplifted. And I'm thankful that when I was growing up, it was hard. Kids would just call you a slur and you couldn't turn to all your friends about it. But now I'm like, you can go on social media and connect with the people who are also being called those things and
right.
conform own little communities. And I'm so thankful that this generation has that outlet.
Yes. Because I don't, that's why I wondered because so many people are biracial now. It's
Yeah.
you're not gonna find one person that's all of of one thing. There's
Yeah, that's really hard
yeah.
these days.
And
Yeah.
people are proud that they are part of another race or
Yes.
another. Yeah,
And I
that
think
gives.
for me, yeah, for me, my acceptance is also based on the fact that as a child, like, I don't know if it's because I was just darker or what, but or if it's because I just visibly didn't look like my adopted family, but I got othered out of whiteness all the time. I was always something else. It was always, what are you? Oh, you look Mexican, you look Salvadoran, you look, anything but white. And so to
Mm,
have those answers and know what I truly am, of course I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of my Caribbean roots and the people in my life who connect with them and gave them to me, because that is where I get to me my strength, my perseverance,
next
resilience.
question. That was my next question. Did that make you stronger having those roots of
Yes.
having to
Yes.
literally fight, but the
Yes.
fight was in the mind. You
Yes.
had, and what about your beliefs in your God?
Well, I'm definitely in a place right now. I was raised a Southern Baptist. I don't identify as that anymore, but I have a very deep spiritual belief that there is a good in the universe. There is a God. Um, I don't really know what that God looks like to me right now, if it's he or she or what, or but it is loving and it is why we are here and it is our brotherhood and why we have to be, I think, do our best to care for our fellow human beings.
So when
I think
you were not raised any particular religion.
no, I was raised Southern Baptist, but I'm not a Southern Baptist anymore.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So right now you're just, well, not just, but it's spiritual. And that,
yeah.
go ahead.
I belong to an AME church, but I work Sundays, so I don't attend often. But that is the denomination whose beliefs I am most aligned with at this time.
Now let's talk about your family and your brother. Spend some time in prison.
Okay. I know my my father spent some time, and when he was given a choice, you could go to jail or you could go to Vietnam. He chose Vietnam. Um, my mother
Yeah.
was incarcerated. Yeah, and I'm only talking my biological family. My mother, she was incarcerated multiple times for like everything from shoplifting to sex work to, like just drug use. She was, and then my brother just got out of prison. He did 10 years for, he had a felony conviction. I believe it was uh, something, he stole something. It was a last strike. So, um, but,
And
but
that's the family that you're with now.
yes, that is my family that I reunited with. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was quite a change for you, wasn't it? I mean,
Yes. Yes. It was a very big difference from what I grew up with, was finding out all this information. And then my brother just recently got out. So I was there for his, like I would go and bring him books, or no, I would send him books and I would go visit him. But I had never imagined that at some point I would have a family member I loved that had faced incarceration. I don't think any of us do, you know?
mm,
And it's very hard on everyone involved. I mean, obviously mostly them, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, did he have a child? Does he have a child?
he has two children.
Two children. Mm.
Yes,
And the generation of turnaround, I have a nonprofit, and that nonprofit is to do with fathers who
yeah,
are incarcerated and are going to get out to re-enter society. But to
yeah,
me, more than that is to re-enter the lives of their children.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, we're
And
working on that for myself. Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna ask it. Did he see his children throughout the incarceration? Did he
One of One of them, yes, but not the other. They have different mothers. One mother was okay with it. One mother, uh, um, and and this is another thing about adoption is one of the mothers of his children took that child and went, off with it, and he has no legal rights anymore. But I am in her life, and I'm working on him becoming healthier so they can unite.
Well, that's
So
what that's what I as a nonprofit want to do. The
yeah,
main thing is to help these fathers when they get out to
yes,
have parenting classes
yes,
along with all the other that they need.
yes,
That's a priority to me because
yes.
that would say I'm going to do anything that I'm asked to do so that I can reunite in some kind of way with my child or children.
Yes, agreed.
You
Yes,
know, everybody, I mean, yeah, I know they need the jobs before they can
but they need
but they need the love of their children. They've been without it for whatever amount of time,
yes.
and that will keep them out of prison.
I agree. I agree with you. I think, like I spoke about my grandmother a minute ago, that love I felt. I didn't know her the first 20 years of my life, but the
Mm.
minute she hugged me, I knew that that was just love and light and my family. And these people need access to their family too. They have a right to see. Like, it's so important that if when it is okay and possible, that we keep children with their parents. Um, and that they have a role in their life that is, appropriate and suitable and loving and a good influence. And that's what I would love to see happen for my brother and his girls. I would love for him to be a healthy part of their life, but there's not a lot of help out there for these people. And I'm so happy I found you because It seems like you do some really good work.
And you know, and I'll say I have 5 nephews in prison.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like God, he didn't let me do anything through the years for them because he had them on the potter's wheel. He
Yeah.
was going to make sure each one of them sat down and listened to him. He couldn't do it while they were out in the world. But
Yes.
once they in it, I saw a change in them
Yeah.
that cannot be faked.
Yeah.
That they all have children. And
Yeah.
so growing up without them. And
Yeah.
so when and whenever they get out, but for right now, I'm working with those who are getting out today, tomorrow, next
Yeah.
week. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
partnering with some, resources, transitional resources that are already in business, been in business for a while, so that we can, no matter where we are, there's
Yeah.
somewhere transitional housing. There's that they're gonna need somewhere to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where
Yeah.
my heart is, Laura.
I love
So
that. I love that. Yeah.
I have a website, generationalturnaround.org,
Okay.
for people to go in the website and see it and
Yeah.
register for. Look, I have a summit coming up,
Oh, okay.
Generation Turnaround Summit, and that is to unite parents and young people. That's September the 6th and the 7th. It's going to
Okay.
be virtual. It's going to be virtual. So all people have to do is get on the website and register.
Nice. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
definitely like, yeah,
yeah.
sign me up.
Please have
Yeah.
everybody sign up. There's going to be 16 speakers from
Oh,
all
how
around in every area, from mental health to self love, self care. We're going
okay.
to talk about it. Yeah, we're going to be about it. And
Nice.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, what you are going through, you trying to help your brother now that he's out, he's going to need a lot of resources.
Yes, he does. He really does.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
And, and so, uh, I, I definitely want to talk to you about that.
Yes,
But
we have to
what?
talk off, yeah, offline about some of that because I would love to help volunteer for your organization and in a way you need. And so like
That's
this just
another
really,
thing. Where are you, Laura? What state?
I'm in Texas. I'm in San Antonio.
No. Do you know that I'm right here in Converse next door to you?
Yes, I think we met in a local Facebook group.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone I meet is so far. They mostly on the East Coast, Maryland, South Dakota, North Dakota. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's nobody that's here. So
Yeah.
that's good to know. So
Yeah.
what do you tell someone who's biracial, who's adopted, and don't feel like they don't know who they are?
When I talk to people in that situation, I tell them, unfortunately, adoption trauma comes for you at some point in your life. When you feel the time is right, it is my opinion that you should look for information and find out as much about yourself as you can so that you can then work on your identity issues. Because I've never met a biracial person that did not have some identity like um it happens more with those of us who have a white mother or a white adopted parent family.
Hmm.
But I
So
say for your I say look for your story, find out your story, start
try
there,
to find out your
and
story.
yeah, and lean on your community of adoptees. Lean on the community of adoptees.
Okay, tell us what your book. What's your book about?
It is called. It will be called 40 Years of Wilderness. Basically a memoir on Gen X racism and growing up biracial.
Oh, well, I want to know as soon as that book comes out. And you say, are you volunteering anywhere right now, doing anything like that?
No, that's why I'm looking for something that would work well with my schedule and be the right like emotional fit for me. Like,
Okay. And right
yeah.
now you're working part-time?
Yes, ma'am. And I take care of my adopted mother part time too.
Okay. Well, look, generational turnaround.
Yes.
It needs you. Need you. We're
Yeah.
helping the young people and the old people because it's not all on the young people. It's
Yeah.
it's the young older people who are set in their ways and don't want to see technology change things. And
Yeah.
that's all about the young people. Technology, whether it's content or
Yeah.
if
I
yeah,
wanted that.
they they're really into that content and we can't say this is gonna be the downfall of the world. We have to
Yeah.
embrace it and embrace them. She's in San Antonio. And so, uh, y'all get in touch with me because right now, my organization, Generational Turnaround Corporation, is a nonprofit. And right, what we're doing is helping the young fathers who are right now, they are incarcerated, but they are going to get out. And we want to have resources so that they can take their rightful place as the head of the family. Now, some are married, some are not, but some are fathers, and there are definitely children out there who are missing their fathers, and their life is on hold, so to speak, because they don't know what's going to happen with their father. And so that's a heavy load for a young person to have to carry, but they are carrying it. And God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son for us. Now, can't we do for one another? There's got to be a generational turnaround, because this planet won't sustain without it. So let's work together. God is calling on everyone to come together and take part in the movement. Right now, it's a generational turnaround movement that is solely fueled by love. And we all know God is love. And we are made in his image. So I pray that today is better than yesterday, but not as good as tomorrow. I pray that tomorrow will bring forth a double portion of blessing in the form of opportunity that you never saw coming. Good night, and good night.